It is time. All right, going to call this meeting of the best Rotary Club to order. And we have an invocation by David Bricka.
President Tucker and fellow Rotarians, let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, guide us on this beautiful sunny day as we learn all about the kids in the YES program and what they've done. Guide them as they continue their journeys through life, and may Rotary be a key part of their journey as they grow up and become Rotarians themselves. Guide us all as we travel as well on vacations or here and there. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right, thank you. And our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And Ellen, you have a song for us.
Well, I do have a song, and I'm going to get David Bricka to start it off because we're going to sing happy birthday to Steve Huggins, whose birthday it is.
Steve Huggins, happy birthday, Steve Huggins. Let's all sing happy birthday on 3, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Steve. Happy birthday to you. Woo-hoo!
All right, Steve was looking a little puzzled there, so all right. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? We have Stephanie here, who's becoming so just you or got it. So we'll just count that. We've got that covered. And any guests of Rotarians other than our speakers today? Chris?
I brought my daughter Ashton today. She, wanted to check out the YES program and see some things blow up. So, yeah.
Thank you. All right, we're going to zoom right into club business. There was a accidental dropping of the name badge box. Apparently, it got put in the thing upside down. And I'm not going to say who did it, but when I opened it up, I dumped all the name badges out. So if you're wondering why your name badge was out, you weren't being singled out for anything. You might have been singled out because your number wasn't on the back of it. So if you were just wondering, that's what that was. And new booklets are here. If we run out of them up here, I've got a whole box of them. We just picked them up yesterday. And in other business, I dropped off the $2,000 check for the Boys and Girls Club for the summer camp supplies. Just the other day, got a photo op with Christina Trader, and we'll have that posted on our social media here pretty soon. And on your table, there's some blank white note cards. We can grab some pins if you want, but I talked to Cheryl about getting some suggestions for meals and food ideas. If you have any suggestions, we're going to put them on that card. You could drop them off with me or drop them off with Cheryl. She's going to evaluate whether they're doable or reasonable or not. She said I didn't need to turn in the ribeye suggestion. So that got canceled early on. But there's a few things that they can get that she can do that she's eager to give it a shot. And moving on, Cheryl, did you have a announcement you wanted to make? Can we get Cheryl the mic?
So I have decided that once a year, I'm going to choose someone around the time that we get a new president, only because that'll help me remember. Someone that I feel may be eligible to have lunch free for 1 year. So this person that I have chose 4 years ago when I started back cooking here. He would come in every day very early and try to set the tables up by himself. I watched him struggle a couple years doing it. And finally I said, you know, maybe it's time to let the younger guys do it. I'm afraid you're going to get hurt. And so he has now backed off a little bit, but he was here every single day. So the first person who's going to receive the free meal for a year is Don Ostrom.
All right. He's probably going to want a drink or something with that too. Thank you, Cheryl. And just let everybody know that's coming directly out of Cheryl's pocket. And she pulled me aside before the meeting here and really wanted to do something like that for Don. I think we can all agree Don's been working his tail off for years, making sure we're ready to roll. So thanks again, Don. We appreciate all your work and congratulations. Moving on, I have an announcement of a new award category for the year. And it's extra special, cheesy, and cheap, but hopefully it's received in the, I guess, the spirit of which it's being given. So this award today, straight from China via Amazon, it was, well, that was awkward award. And our first award is going to Carl Garrison for his question about hanky-panky amongst the patients at Northern State. I have 23 more of those trophies in the closet. All right, and then just one last announcement before we move on, or from me. We still have Rotary Night at the ballpark with the Bellingham Bells on July 28th. We had the flyers on the table, and if you're planning on going, just let me know or let somebody know, just so we can get a count if there's going to be a bunch more people than they're already scheduled. I haven't. Stephanie, have you heard? Is there? Got it. Okay. Dave Lukov. Steve. Apparently a vital portion of this was missed. And apparently we were supposed to collect some money. So I've still got a copy of one of the flyers in my notebook here. If you want to check it out and see if you wanted to go. And with that, we're going to be zooming through. Oh, Eric.
Ruth says that she's going to and she's going to take cash, and anybody can come and just pay at the ballpark.
Perfect. That's great. That's great. Do we have a raffle? We have a raffle.
First one is number 20. All righty. Second one. Number 64. That's you. Mark's got that one. Let's go a third one. You can pick up yours. Whatever you want. You want to spin or? Okay. And the last one is 38.
All right, thank you. Christine, you're up.
Domino's delivers. That's right. Hey, that's $2. Turn your phone off. Okay, so I'm going to make this really easy because as the July team captain, it's very hard when team members don't show up. And the person that was sergeant at arms today did not show up. So I'm sergeant at arms. I'm going to make it really easy. If you went to the summer concert on Sunday, it's $1. If you did not go, it's $5. We're raising money for fun and fellowship, guys. And then I'm going to do happy bucks and oh yeah, if you went, raise your hand. 4 of us. All right. I didn't go either, so I put $5 in. Wonderful. If you are not wearing your badge, that's $1. And if it is your birthday, it's, what is it, $2 for birthdays and $3 for anniversaries. And I apologize, it's actually Steve's anniversary, not his birthday. I misread it. In my defense, it was his birthday on the 14th, so still July, still tracks. All right, let's go into happy bucks. Is anybody happy?
I got a happy 5 here. There are some entrepreneurial girls on Ferry and Reed Street that have a lemonade stand and some cookies. So I just encourage anybody to go stop by and see them after Rotary.
All right.
I've got a happy $10. I'm very happy for the great article in the Skagit Valley Herald yesterday about the Gurney Tourney 2.0 and the significance of this year. It's our last year. After this, we'll be able to endow the fund through the Burlington Edison Alumni Foundation. Brian Gurney was just a joy to be around, my beloved nephew. We miss him so very much, but his memory is being honored through education and scholarship. So it's a great legacy to pass along. If you're around, you can go to my Facebook page, check everything out, drive by Tanny Lane, and there are a lot of really amazing baskets donated by a lot of cool people. So that's it.
I have a happy 5. I want to invite all of you guys. It was a year in the making, but we have the Skagit Steel exhibit. It's going to be the grand opening of it on Sunday, 11 to 3 at the museum. So.
And I have a happy 10. We're opening a new pharmacy in Anacortes, hopefully by October. And I've had the distinct privilege for the last couple of weeks to serve as a practice partner on the tennis court for one of the best players in the world. And that's been a real treat for me. So my body hurts. I pulled a lot of muscles, but happy to be out there playing.
I have a happy 10 in celebration of seeing the YES program here. And Bernie Halliday is our new IPA president. So she's certainly welcomed here. Thanks you all for coming.
He wants the money, not the mic.
Venmo has my happy 20, which is the final $20 of my number 3 child's wedding. So Adrian and Srupa got married 2 weeks ago. And with that, I have now finished my obligation to their wedding. So congratulations to them.
Well, the magic of Rotary goes on. So you guys were having your installation a few weeks ago, and somehow Becky got a hold of my sister who's married to Brian Stiles and said that your bartender had quit at the last minute. And so my sister texted me knowing that I paid for college bartending. So she said, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And so I contacted Becky and said, "Sure, I'll fill in for you guys. No problem." Well, Becky insisted on paying me the bartender fee, which was $100. And then she insisted I put out a tip jar, which raised $200. So there's that $300 for you right back. And, you know, we have a potential yes student here for next year, so you could just put that towards your.
I think that's a great earmarking.
So for those of you that weren't here, I got a couple of happy bucks. This is really quite an award. Thank you. Yep. So we were having a presentation from Northern State, and I asked the very innocent question, was there ever any good stories of hanky-panky between the patients? That's all it was. And I'm so glad that you're incentivizing these questions by giving me an award.
I just got a happy 5 for an amazing opening night of the concert series. And we got another great band and this Sunday, so make sure to come out. And also happy that my buddy Jason here has been able to put up with me all week, and I've managed to, I think, keep you busy and keep him working, so. Yeah.
Anybody else? All right.
That's
You.
it. All right. So before we have early leavers, I want to let you know who's going to be getting up here and speaking real quick. We've got Gavin Nicholson for the YES program. I got the last name right, didn't you? As soon as you told me, I almost forgot, just because older brain, you know how that happens. And Jason Rockwell is going to be speaking. We're splitting up our time today. We've got hopefully about 15 or 20 minutes for either. And with that, we're going to go with the YES program first, but it's early leaver time if you got to go. But we'd appreciate it if you could stay. Thank you. Gavin, you're up. Does he need to run the? I think this works. I think you have to point that. And this just goes forward. I think so. And if it doesn't, then Eric can hit the buttons for you. Try to get.
I can just tell you next slide. Let's have the next slide. That's good. Okay. Well, should be working. Perfect. Thank you all for having me here. So my name is Gavin Nicholson. I went on the YES trip in 2025. Sorry, I'm trying to get the mic out. And you are my sponsoring club. I really appreciate that. So I was going to give you a quick summary of the trip, and I'll talk about what I gained from it. So our first day, we just flew in. Technically, it's first 2. Sorry about that. Thank you. Our first day, well, technically our first 2 days, we flew in. We landed in San Pedro. We had a 5-hour bus ride to our hostel. That's the hostel, the Azul Iguana. Then our second day, we went to an orphanage called Casito Capon. And while we were here, we did a service project. So if you look in this photo, their banks are washing out because they have extreme rainfall there. So we worked on digging out these big banks here, and these cages we filled with rocks and put those in the bank to stabilize it. So in the future, it wouldn't wash out anymore. And we also worked on building the fence shown on the top left and the general construction. The laser pointer. Too fancy technology for me, I'm sorry. And then our second official day in Honduras, we went to Barbasco Cabanas, which is actually, we're returning to this village. If any of you know Jordan Piazza, his year that they went to Honduras, they worked in this village mainly. And they worked to build this chicken coop shown here. But because of the climate in Honduras, the posts rotted very quickly, even though they were treated. So we had to go back through and pour concrete and bricks and stabilize all that. And I couldn't find any pictures that would work with the formatting for some reason, but we did a couple of products with the kids here. So we did helped make slime with them, and we made pipe cleaner. Sorry, that's what I was looking for. We made pipe cleaner figures with them, and that was a lot of fun. The kids, just seeing the happiness that they have from it, it's a really valuable moment. And then the top left is the photo of us with all of them before we all left. And then on the very far right there, just fun fact, because I found it really interesting, that's their village water supply. And it's actually a water pump that goes all the way to their village from there. And then after that, we went to our main service site, which is called Las Lomas. And so there's 2 large schools that we worked to paint and we built a playground. We also worked with brief English lessons with those of us who were bilingual. And we did our Days for Girls and Men Who Know, which is just basic sex ed. And we made a mural. So on the left here is us painting. That's the bathrooms we're painting there. That third photo from the left is actually traditional Honduran dance, which the kids had a very fun time forcing us to do. I don't remember if either of you adults joined in, but I'm sure we all had a blast there. And then this is their, I believe, kindergarten classroom on the left and the right there. And then the big kids classroom is actually going to be bright orange and neon green. So very, very colorful. And seeing the kids here is also really valuable. We did the same slime project with the pipe cleaners, and I saw everyone like genuinely enjoyed it. It meant a lot to the kids and to us. Somewhere in Honduras, there's a kid with a pipe cleaner hat that I made him, and he's wearing it, I'm sure. And then beyond actually what we did on the trip, because the last 2 days were mainly tourism based after we left the village, so they weren't as focused. Sorry, one last thing on this note, I forgot to mention it. We actually did hygiene kits. So we packaged up these hygiene kits. We decided what to bring in them. So it was like toothpaste, floss, soap, all that sort of stuff. So every single kid in the village got a hygiene kit, which they all seem to find very important. And I'm sure they appreciate it. So the leadership that we learned from it was, I'd say, the biggest takeaway I had beyond just obviously appreciating going somewhere forward and helping the kids there. I feel like my leadership skills definitely developed a lot over the year, because you were forced into our very first meeting as a retreat with a bunch of strangers, which sounds scary to either of you two who are interested in the program. It's not that bad. You have adults there. It's great. We play games and everything. But you've definitely developed skills of leadership, and not just how to lead, but how to lead and not annoy people, how to lead effectively. And I noticed everyone in the program developed those skills, not just like 2 or 3 people. I think it was valuable for everyone there, and everyone really appreciated that. And then, like I mentioned in the retreats, we all went. Our first retreat was to Camp Kirby, where we were there for 2 days and just did some basic service projects there. Very laid back, more just focused on like developing a little bit of leadership sessions. We worked on a book called, it's about cold climate versus warm climate. And it talked about the cultural differences, because we live in a mostly cold climate culture. And we are going to warm climate culture in Honduras. And the second was at Camp Corey, which is much more leadership focused. And I think that's where a lot of kids really develop their skills, do some different problem solving, which Kurt, who can't be here with us today, it wasn't the practical solution anyways. And then my volunteer work, if any of you are familiar with Children of the Valley, there's one right down the street. It's a Sedro Woolley site, but I worked at the Burlington Westview site. And I've never volunteered really in my past. If any of you are interested in the program and you haven't volunteered a lot, just getting started is the biggest part. And this program made me start volunteering at COV. And that's like one of the biggest changes in this past year, was consistently going there, seeing the kids grow and develop throughout the year, and actually attended their graduation at the end of my school year, which is kind of sad to see them go, because now they're going to LU in Burlington, if any of you are familiar with that. But I won't ever be able to see them again. It's really important to build those connections. In fact, my best friend, Santiago, has actually gave me a hug goodbye. He was really sad. But the volunteering, I feel like, was a bigger impact over the entire year, over the course of the year, than a lot of people think it is. Beyond that, though, I just really appreciate going on the trip with everyone. The adults were very consistent and supportive, and the students with us were very just nice to be around, very calm. And the entire trip was super valuable for me. So if there's any questions, I'd love to answer them now.
Gavin, could you say a little bit about what the YES program is?
Oh yeah, thank you. So YES stands for Youth Engaged in Service. So it's all about getting teenagers actually into service work, into public servitude. That's not the word I'm looking for. Public service, sorry. It's just all about getting teenagers involved, though, and actually making an impact in the community. So I just had a friend who had gone to the YES program before recommend the program to me, and that's how it got introduced to me. And then I went through my interview process, and through the interview, I actually saw like the interviewers kind of explained to me more about the program. I learned a lot more about it than I knew beforehand, even through the application, through the Google Forms. And I realized it was like really valuable. It's something I really enjoy. But in general, yes, it's just about getting teenagers involved and making a positive impact in the world. So I guess I applied in August when I was 16, and then through the course of the trip and everything like that, I've been 17. Yeah. Technically, seniors are allowed to apply also? No? Okay. Well, we started with more. I think we lost one. So we had 10 kids in the trip who went with us, and then we had Chris, Marty, and Jordan were our adults on the trip with us. So 13 total. That's one of the things that if you do struggle with that, it's actually much less of an issue than you think. I'm not good at Spanish. I've taken Spanish 3 at my high school. I have a very basic understanding of Spanish, but not close to where it needs to be to speak fluently. And the villagers there and the translators there are very accommodating, and they help a lot with Spanish. So you don't need that complex, like just 1 year of Duolingo and you'll be chilling.
And I've had the opportunity to see the villages that Yes has worked in, and the results and the appreciation of the teachers and students there. And I just remind the club that I try to go down to Honduras with IPA every year. And there is a trip in the first part of November with IPA, and 3 other trips, the next one, the February one. So anyone who's interested in going to Honduras, let me know and I'll put you in contact with the right people. And you too can go down and see all the benefits that Skagit County Rotarians and Yes students have done. It's just really amazing.
Well, I'll answer that 2 ways. Leading into the program, I was sure that the fundraising was going to be the most difficult part because it's not a small amount of money. But thanks to you guys sponsoring club and just the general community is much more helpful than you'd think if you just reach out and talk to people. Almost everyone is willing to chip in. So I thought that fundraising was going to be the biggest struggle, but it really isn't. I'd say I'm not even being prepared for the trip, but trusting the adults' advice, because we're teenagers and we love to think that what the adults say isn't 100% accurate. But it was really funny at the end of the year, Chris put together a video from all the students who were returning from the trip to talk about what we felt like was the biggest takeaway and like the biggest thing that students next year should know that they might not. And everything we listed is in the introductory rules. It's in the first things that they tell us. But we all kind of ignore it because we're teenagers and we do that. So I'd say the biggest problem was just trusting the adults and knowing that they're right. Highlight, in that first village we went to, Barbasco, there was a kid there and we were making slime and his slime was way too runny. And it was like neon pink and getting everywhere. And he was just like giggling and laughing, had no clue what he was doing. And me and Haddon Zimmerman, another student on the trip, I don't know if anyone here knows there's Zimmermans, but he was our best friend after that. His name was Lil Homie. And so I was just interacting with the kids especially, but that kid especially was the highlight of my trip.
All right, we'll say thanks to Gavin. All right. Chris, you want to come up and introduce our next speaker?
All right. Well, while Jason does some interpretive dancing up here, I'll introduce him. No, just kidding. Jason Rockwell. He's retired sergeant from Pima County Sheriff's Department out of Tucson. He was a bomb squad commander there for in a regional squad, so multiple squads. Retired from that position, and Rothenbuehler Engineering ended up snagging him, and he's now one of our sales reps. He travels around all over the place and does actual live training with Army, military, EOD. Yeah, so he's kind of taken a lot of that travel away from, Dad and I don't need to go and leave town as much anymore, and thanks to him. He gets to see all the cool stuff. So I thought I would bring him by so he could show you guys all the cool stuff too. So that's Jason Rockwell.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me. I got to admit, I'm kind of humbled I'm very humbled following that. Gavin did an awesome job presenting that. And I mean, the nature of the work too, which I imagine, I'm not real familiar with Rotary, a little bit talking to Chris, but the kind of outreach type stuff you guys do and him doing this awesome charitable work down there. And I'm going to basically try my best to entertain you with the time I have. So hats off to you there. A couple other little disclaimers with this. When Chris asked me to do this, first of all, can you hear me okay? I talk kind of fast too. A little closer. I do tend to talk kind of fast, and you have to slow me down too, because I'm going to try to fit this all in there. When Chris asked me to first do this, I'm like, sure, you sign my check, so I'll be happy to do whatever you tell me to. But what would you like me to talk on? She's like, well, just kind of do an overview of bomb squads, talk about some of the equipment that they utilize, and, try to squeeze in some kind of cool stuff, some stuff blown up videos, and whatnot. So I spent a little bit of time putting this together, and honestly, even this one I cut down, I could probably go for 2 hours on. You guys probably don't want to sit around for that. So I'm going to basically be kind of zipping through a lot of this. I hope I don't make anybody dizzy scrolling through this, but it's kind of by design. I'm going to kind of shoot from the hip on this one. And I would like it to be kind of interactive. I want to provide you information that interests you. So if you have questions, if I put a slide up there, or you want to know more about it, or that one I skipped over, please get my attention. Because again, I want to give you information you want to hear. And I also want to do my best to show you something kind of entertaining. So, and the other disclaimer, I'll try to be good. I'm kind of surprised she wanted me to speak in front of a respectable group, because my usual audiences are cops and military guys and, guys that communicate by grunting and pointing and cussing. So we're okay. Okay, good deal. Kind of a funny thing, I'll put that up here. I'm going to skip over this really quick, but a quick explanation. I mean, this is kind of a funny one. I'll read up here this, what is EOD? What is explosive ordnance disposal? The science of vague assumptions based on debatable figures derived from inconclusive experiments performed by persons of doubtable reliability and questionable mental capability with instruments of problematic inaccuracy. It's meant to be funny, but there's a little bit of truth to that too. It's kind of a science and an art, if you will. But we'll show you some examples of that. Is it just the advanced button? Okay, thank you. I'll do real briefly, what is the difference between EOD and public safety bomb squads? For the longest time, and they still kind of are used interchangeably. On the left there, that's the kind of the traditional EOD military badge, which was used up by basically all public safety bomb squads up until 2016, when the FBI officially took over the hazardous device school. But the job is very, very similar. Military obviously focuses mainly on military munitions, unexploded ordnance, and IEDs that are made out of those type of components, and obviously usually in a international theater, where public safety bomb squads is primarily dealing with stuff here in town, mostly not in town, but in the United States. Explosives recoveries, bomb threats, you name it. And this is what I'm going to primarily be talking about, is the public safety bomb squad side. And so some of the important equipment, and this is one I'll kind of go over quick on here, the bomb suits are probably the most recognizable part of an EOD tech and everything. And that, oops, did I go too far? When we did training, we tried to keep it as fun as possible, because there's a lot of articulating and like little skills you have to be able to do. We try to make it fun sometimes. So we call this primate games. We always joked that our squad was a bunch of apes, pretty much. And so we'd have primate games. We do fun little competitions just to kind of get used to wearing that 90-pound bomb suit and performing little tasks and stuff like that. So some of these are peppered in there. This next one here, it's just the arrow, right? Okay. Gotcha. This is a video. Everyone always asks, what will a bomb suit protect you against? And usually I would joke about it. Well, it's usually the difference between an open or closed casket funeral. Now, it sounds kind of macabre, but it's kind of the truth. There are limits. Most of the protection is going to come if you're approaching something or backing away from it. We want to reduce the amount of time that we're on that hazard. But quite frankly, if we're right on top of something that's significant, this was a little under 6 pounds of explosives. You can't see it in this picture, but the bomb suit's laying on top of it. Could you push play?
3, 2, 1.
Everything, that was the bomb suit going up in the air. And the next picture shows it collected a little bit less than 6 pounds of high explosive. Now, the helmet wasn't in there because when we retire a bomb suit, we usually keep the helmet and give it to a guy that's retiring. But the suit itself, as you can see, doesn't do a whole lot. So anybody seen the movie Hurt Locker, where that one time he strips off the bomb suit because if you want to die, I want to be comfortable, I would have done the exact same thing. And you can work better without the bomb suit. Okay, next. I'll skip through this one. In fact, this is where I'm going to start and skip a lot here. See if I can do it. X-ray is an important part. We use a lot of robotics. X-rays real big. I'll show you a bunch of examples of X-rays as we go. Let's just keep going. Detection equipment. If we have some type of suspected powders or explosives, these things are pretty fancy now. We can, some of these point at something and we can read, hey, this is what it is. Helps with like identifying narcotics and hazardous materials and whatnot, and specifically explosives. Keep going. Disruptors, there's lots of different types of them. This is an energetic tool. If we have a suspicious package or possible IED, use this to open up something and even specifically target certain components, which I'll show you when I show you some x-rays later on. Keep going. Different types of disruptors, some mini ones here, the little water bottles and stuff on the right here. Special purpose tools. Water is a very valuable tool that we utilize to, when you drive it quick enough and fast, directed enough. The two on the right, one has a det cord going through the middle of it, and you fill that with water, put it next to a suspicious backpack or something, and that backpack's going away. The one in the middle, it's a little bit of C4 packed in the middle of that tube, and the one on the left is a little bit of data sheet plastic explosive that makes a nice little jet. It's really effective tools. Keep going. Go and push play on this one. This is a disruptor. Nothing super fancy, but just talking about some of the robots, and that Spot, that robot dog that Boston Dynamics makes, is kind of the craze with not just bomb squads, but a lot of other SWAT teams in general. And everyone's fascinated because it looks like a dog, and it's really cool. I mean, the software, the technology that goes into these things. And that's just an example. You can put a disruptor on something like this. And the goal is, if we can do as minimal as we can on top of something, we want to do as much work remotely because of that first slide of what a bomb suit will not protect you against. It's better if we can do it with tools if we can. Keep going. Of course, with all the equipment we have, there's lots of different vehicles. We have to pack a lot of stuff in there. Keep going. I'll show you a bunch of these. These are the basic type of calls that public safety bomb squads do. Area clearing for sweeps. A lot of times if some political speaker is going to show up, the president's coming into town or something, we might get called in to do a protective sweep of the area. We utilize explosive detection canines, just basically trying to secure an area before we move into that. A lot of times we might sweep and go if they're going to hold some type of security on it. If it's something, we've had times where, like again, presidential figures come into town, they have us stand by there as a render safety. In case something shows up, we can move in quickly to do something. Explosives recovery is a common one, whether it's commercial, whether it's unexploded ordnance that, happens a lot. Someone's grandfather passes away that was in the Korean War, brought back some souvenirs with them. And when they find some grenades or mortars in the attic and stuff, we get called on those a lot. And then we'll coordinate with military EOD regarding that. Suspicious packages, those are kind of the more fun calls, which I'm going to try to save more time for that one here. Hazardous materials we get called for a lot. SWAT support, usually it's in the use of using robotics to go in and check a house if we need to. And again, it's safer for the tactical operators to do that. Or
where's your facility for blowing stuff up?
Kind of the world is our oyster. Everybody, yeah. In fact, I meant to give a disclaimer with yours too about the questions and answers. I go, there's not as much hanky panky with the bomb squad stuff, but it could be cool. It's really dependent on the specific area. If like here in town, if they respond to a certain area and they identify something as hazardous, they might determine can't reasonably safely be moved somewhere else. And they might evaluate at that time. We might do a render safe operation right here, right wherever they find it. In some cases, when I had that recovery vehicles, there was like a cement mixer thing on the back of one truck. That is a TCV or a total containment vessel. Sometimes we can place something in that and take it out, whether it's a designated range. When I was active on the job, it was our training center shooting range that we could take something out to there and blow it up. And quite frankly, Tucson, Arizona, I'm in the desert. I could pretty much go wherever, just make sure it was a safe place to do it. So, but a good question. Okay. Yeah, very common. Like I said, sometimes it's nice when you can take it somewhere specific for it, but we've had to do numerous, I'm trying to think if I have any videos on here where we're doing it basically in the public. A good question. In fact, I'm going to skip ahead to the other ones. I want to save the cool stuff with you guys. This was inside a stolen vehicle. There was an armed robbery at a convenience store, and the detectives towed it in. They were doing a search warrant on it, and they called me when they found the box on the left first. And this was inside their impound facility where they're processing it. And I'm like, yeah, those are electric blasting caps. So I took those from them, and I go, well, before I leave, why don't I check the rest of the truck really quick? And in that bag is that's a commercial, it's called Ironmite, a commercial blasting explosive. There was 12 sticks of that. So where they came up, you'd be surprised sometimes where does explosives show up. In our area down there, we have a lot of wildcat mines, commercial projects and stuff. It's unfortunately not hard to get a blasting license, at least it didn't used to be. So keep going. This was a guy that was doing some yard work. It's kind of hard to see here. That's a box of dynamite. He drug over it with part of a tractor. Luckily, he just scraped the top of it. And you don't see it in this picture, but it's dated 1923. And the older dynamite are the more scary calls for us, where they start secreting that nitroglycerin and whatnot. Chances are the stuff had leached out enough because of where it was with water and rains and stuff, but we end up burning that. And that's actually the standard practice, old dynamite, we will burn that in place. And that was done at that guy's residence. He had a real big glass window. It was like $10,000, huge thing. And I actually brought one of the SWAT armored vehicles to park it between, just in case it blew up, to try to protect his window a little bit. But it didn't blow up, so that was good. Keep going. This was a fun one. This is zoomed in on it. On the side of this mountain hill was this little bit of yellow tube sticking out. Anybody that's done any blasting before, that's shock tube. And sometimes when they build these mountain roads and stuff, they blast through there. Well, that shouldn't have been there if the explosives went off. And when we started digging more, you could see the borehole when it went down. So the Department of Transportation called us to come deal with it. And the picture on the right there, that's me and my number 2 guy when we were still both on the job trying to dig it out by hand as close as we can get to it to determine if there was a hazard with it. Next one, please. The hand tools weren't working real good, so I commandeered a backhoe to try to get it. That wasn't doing enough. And I end up basically on the picture on the right, on the top, you see that green stuff. That's just a sandbag that I have it sitting on top of a cast booster explosive. And on the bottom here, I keep forgetting I got a pointer, is another cast booster. And the item in question is right here in the middle. And that rock kind of juts out. So the next slide, one, press play. And like I said, this was right on the side of Mount Lemmon Highway, a very popular one. So we had traffic blocked on both sides while we blew that out. So that was a fun one in the public. Do a lot of ordnance recovery. We can skip this quick. We usually refer to the military. We work very closely with Davis-Monthan Air Force Base down there. That was our local military response unit. And we got called all the time because we had some old practice bombing ranges. Again, relatives would pass away and families would find weird things. I told my wife, if I die, you're gonna have to call the bomb squad over because I got a lot of weird stuff in my house. The next one. This guy, that was a 150-pound general purpose bomb. It was a practice one, but practice or training does not mean safe. Something that big, they may not have it full of explosives, but usually there's marking charges. So when they drop it from a plane, there's a small explosion so they can see, are they hitting their target? In the middle was a cannonball that we punched a hole in Florida because they had it sitting on their shelf and they weren't sure if there was any explosives in it. You get a lot of cannonballs still recovered to this day back east, Pennsylvania, some old Revolutionary War, Civil War stuff, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff still out there. Next one. This was one of my first calls when I went to the squad. It was over 1,400 pieces of military ordnance when someone was trying to clear out. And so all of those rounds, the smallest one is going to be 20 millimeter. Doesn't sound like much, but there's high explosives and citric acid and white phosphorus, all kinds of weird stuff in there too. That was a fun day. Next one. How we got rid of it. The box on your left here, those are all blocks of C4. Whether you watch any military movies, you're a former military or whatever, C4 is kind of, everyone knows it, right? You know, it's heard of C4. There's basically a house of C4 and we stacked a bunch of those rounds in there. I think it was a 145-pound shot that we did that day. That was a fun one. And this was on Davis-Monthan Air Force Base where we got rid of this. And the one on the right is very similar, but that green stuff is that plastic explosive sheet stuff I was talking about. Next. This is a little bigger one. That's an ICBM or Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. They still maintain them from the 50s and everything. In northern Arizona, they have several. There's obviously no nuclear payload on this one, but every once in a while when they're going through refurbishing stuff, they decide we need to get rid of this one. So Luke Air Force Base out of Phoenix is one that's responsible for bringing this down to dispose of the rocket motors, which is a nitrocellulose solid explosive in there. A little over 11,000 pounds of explosives. Next one. I'm gonna press play. We're a little over 2 miles away. I'm waiting for it. You finally heard the report. So just kind of a cool thing, you know, of physics there. It was a speed of sound about 1,100 feet per second. It took about 9.5 seconds for the sound to get to us after seeing it. So they do those every couple of months, have to get rid of those out there at the Berry Goldwater Range by Gila Bend, Arizona. I'll skim through this one pretty quick. Some of the robots, these are SWAT missions where the suspects kind of went crazy on our robots. I have little purple heart stickers that I put on all my robots after they get damaged or shot or banged up. Keep going. More, just keep going through those. Explosive breaching. Another way we work with SWAT, if you want to basically get into a house or structure very quickly, you can do so. One here on the right, that was in Ohio. That building was the, you guys heard of Iams Dog Food? It was the CEO of that company or whatever. They were building a new house and they donated that house, at least the demolition of it, to the local explosive breachers there to practice on. And this one, when they decided they don't want to use the sliding glass door, they're going to blow a hole through the wall right there. And that's the still of the video, a photo from the video doing it. This was a SWAT mission. We were doing an explosive breach off of a robot. So inside this, the guy sitting here is one of the SWAT guys inside this armored vehicle. There's the door. This is a little apparatus I made and put on the end of a robot. Go ahead and push play. So a good way to blow the door open without having guys have to go up there and expose themselves to do it. This is a training one. Go ahead and push play on this one. I forgot it was a longer setup. We were training a guy on the controller. So pretty effective tool. I'm going to start skipping through a lot quicker now because we're getting ready in time here. Let's see. I'll just tell you to keep going until, keep going. I'm going to get to the funner stuff. Go back to that one real quick, please. This was a training device, but just so a suspicious package IED can be made out of anything. There literally was one in Vegas. The guy made a bomb out of in a coffee cup. This is a small little plastic lantern flashlight that I made one as kind of a teaching tool. Now this is inert, But what you're seeing here, this is the explosive load. It's a plastic explosive in there. This is the battery that would power. You can't see it in this image, but the blasting cap is in this. And the way it would function is if someone turned it on. If you push the button and turned it on, it would explode. Now, this other little thing you see here, all that is a little, call it a tattler, a siren. So I put it there in front of the academy class, and because everyone's curious, you walk it and you start pushing buttons and stuff. And every time I hear go, that means someone blew up. So I tell them, be careful what you're messing with. Next one. This radio that we kept in our shop, it was finally time to get rid of it. We were going to do a training, and decided, I'm going to turn that into a bomb. And this was actually a functioning bomb. Next one. That's the only thing you would see externally on that, where the CD would go. I added some kind of ball bearings and stuff in there because I was putting on a post-blast school for some of my guys. The back of that where the batteries would go, because it's normally plugged in, is what's called a safe arm switch. Because if a bomber, if he's halfway smart, doesn't want to have one that's going to go off real easily. So when you place it where you want it, you turn that safe arm switch, so whatever trigger you have for it would set it off. Next one, please. There's an x-ray of it. Doesn't show too much there. I mean, this is what guys are dealing with when they x-ray something. They have to go through there and decide what is concerning about this. They're looking at what's called the pies. P stands for power, I is the initiator, E is explosive, and S is the switch, which I'll get into the next one. But what you're seeing here, there's a top view of it, but the green outline, that's the E, the explosive. The P in this one, there's a 9-volt battery right here. The initiator, this is a blasting cap in there. There's 2 switches. Again, that was the safe arm switch that can be safely turned on. And the way this one functioned is, if it's plugged in, we set up a scenario. You know, Billy Joe goes to work that day. The volume was turned down. If he turns the volume up, I just had a simple contact put in there. When that contact gets made on the volume, it would blow up. Next one, please. This is where we set it up. So that radio was sitting right here. I have a little mannequin. That was a structure that we were allowed to blow up and get rid of. And I set up a camera in there. Go and press play. Oh. Is it not playing? Oh, darn it. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't play, but it was a couple of ounces of explosive. But the next picture that he's going there, yeah, the mannequin did not survive. And go ahead and advance it. That's the door jamb from what we were looking through. There's just a little piece of wood trim that was around that area that went into that wall, and that's the backside. It's sticking through both sides of that wall. So a lot of force and power can come out of these things. Next one. That same day was a coffee cup or thermos I made into one. Next one, there's an x-ray of it. I added some fragmentation BBs in there. And it's going to just go to the next one. So what would happen, there's a micro switch on top. So when you open that thermos, it would release the micro switch and activate it and blow up whoever was opening it. And let's see if this video plays. Oh, it is. There's a mannequin right there where that little glass crosses. It's a little chapel that was built on the property. Almost took out my phone by the lid of that thing. That wasn't as impressive as the other video that unfortunately didn't play, but I mean, that is a very small amount of explosives. It's supposed to be dangerous stuff. I'm going to pause for a second here because I think we're right at the end of my time here. Are there any questions so far? Because I don't want to just keep rambling on. I'm sorry, I bit off way more than I can chew with this, what I put in here. Okay, question over here.
What's the lifespan of a career of a bomb tech? And I don't mean the lifespan. I mean, like, that's pretty stressful, right? So
it can be. I mean, it takes a long time to get in there. So, I mean, for myself example, I did not go into the bomb squad until I was 18 years on the job when I went in. And so I only did it for my last 6 years of my career there. The oldest tech that we have with us, he just hit 20 years as a bomb tech, and he's got I think he's got 27 years on the department. So it's hard to say. I mean, you might have some guys that were a bomb tech for 20 years, but that's unusual. Normally it's 5 to 7 for a lot of it, but it ranges because it takes so long to get into it. It is a coveted position. And even once you get selected, like I say, hey, we're going to hire this guy that meets all our prerequisites as a cop. And sometimes it's fire agencies that will have them, but most of them are law enforcement. But once we put their application to HDS and there's still all the prerequisites, it takes more than 2 years to get them into HDS. So most of the guys were with the squad for a while training and doing limited roles before they even get certified. I got lucky. I kind of got fast tracked because I got thrown right into the big chair. I was like, I came on, was not a bomb tech, and I got moved in as the bomb squad commander because as a supervisor. So I got a little bit quicker, but good question. This one right here, I'll briefly go over it because it was an interesting yet sad call. What you're seeing here is the suspect in this was kind of a jerk. He has a lot of problems with it, and he was messing around with this rifle, this SKS AK-47 variant in the other room. And he accidentally fired a round off and went through the wall. It's hard to see this couch right there. There's a 17-year-old kid on that was taking a nap, and that round went right into his head, killed the kid. So our robbery, assault, homicide detectives are out there doing the search warrant. And right here is a big gun safe. And when they were going through that, this bag here, he opened it up and he saw there was several pipe bombs in there. And there's some other stuff here. That's a bag full of fuses. This bag here would contain a bunch of plastic canisters that had a bunch of black powder, flash powder. Basically, he was farming stuff from commercial fireworks and which is very effective in making these tools. So in this case, we rigged it out because we tried to do what we can remotely so we can take an x-ray of it to see if they were live pipe bombs. And I think in this next photo, I'll caution you, it doesn't show much of them, but there is a portion of the kid's body in this. And just to warn you, don't look up if it's not going to, you see anything gruesome, but you'll see part of a kid. The next one, like I said, him laying there, luckily it doesn't have his head in it. The reason this photo is in there just shows that this is a very unusual thing. What drives some of these people and what probably stands out to most, you got these swastika things on the wall, which is really unusual because he was actually a Pasquin Yaqui Native American from down there. So really, really confused because obviously that club would not let him in. But this kid had all kinds of problems. We found little manifestos and stuff. He was planning on doing some bad stuff. So the next slide. There's the 4 that were in that bag. And the next slide, please. Zoomed in a little bit more. That's kind of unusual. Pipe bombs are bad enough, but he had set all these up that had lighters on them already, where you can flick it and light it and stuff. And he had basically kind of manifestos about going and doing some kind of crazy Columbine type stuff. So unfortunately, these wackos are still out there. But we had a lot of those to get rid of. So I'd like to get more to the videos, but we just don't think we have time with it. So is there any more questions at this point? Yes.
Okay, so you find a mortar in grandpa's attic, and who pays for that? Is it considered a public service for somebody to come in from the bomb squad to take care of it?
Who pays for it?
Yeah.
Good question. Nobody. Your tax dollars, really. It's already paid for. If we go to respond to something, we don't charge anything for it too. And if it's true military ordinance, the way it would happen, at least in our area and in most, the local public safety guys will go out first. We'll identify it. And usually we do some type of x-rays because there's a lot of ones that are very obviously inert. Grenades are a dime a dozen. You go to a military surplus store and buy a bunch of grenades that are, they sell with a little gag, need a number, take a number, things on them. So public safety deals with those things all the time. The bigger stuff, we would call a Davis Monthan or whatever, whoever their local, the nearest military installation was. And sometimes we take it to them. Sometimes they'd come out, but no, it doesn't. We don't charge them anything. And honestly, if it's innocent, we don't charge anybody criminally either. If like they just, hey, we found this in our stuff. It happens a lot. A lot of the stuff I have in my house is stuff that was inert or standing. Like, do you want it? You don't want it? Cool. I'll take it to my place. I have my own little room full of crazy stuff. So I saw another hand over here. Another question?
And explosives he used in Oklahoma City. Have you had to deal with anything of that size and magnitude in your work?
Not that size, but that type of very much. What Timothy McVeigh used, the big Ryder trucks he had was called RFAN. It was a binary explosive, which is very, very easy to make or manufacture combined. What RFAN stands for is racing fuel and ammonium nitrate. So basically explosives, it's chemistry. You have a fuel and an oxidizer. In this case, the ammonium nitrate's the oxidizer, saturate it with the fuel oil. Nitromethane's I'm sorry, not fuel oil, that's AMFO. The racing fuel, like nitromethane. Again, you can go to a hobby store and buy this stuff. You can order ammonium nitrate off of Amazon. And the scary part is, if you look at the bottom where it says frequently bought together, sometimes you might see customers also purchased aluminum powder, which is another thing. That's ANAL is, you guys probably heard of tannerite. That's basically aluminum powder and ammonium nitrate, which is a now binary explosive. Very, very, very common to do. Sir.
So now all of our Rotarians know how to make bombs?
When I was in Southeast Asia, had a rather unique thing happen. I was a surveyor, topographic mapping, and we used to put up these 110-foot towers to survey off of. And one of the things that we used was C4 to blow a foundation in the rice paddies or wherever we were getting line of sight. So we had an Army 3/4 with a box of C4 in the back. Well, we drove out off the main road onto this rice paddy dike, and the guy driving wasn't paying attention, and we slid off to the side. So I got the duty of running back to the main road to see if we could get some help. Well, there was a tank company going by, and I knew that there was a tank retriever usually at the end of one of those. So I flagged them down and asked them if they could come out on the dike and pull us out. So I ran back to where we were at on the dike, and he comes out there, gets about halfway out there, and there was this huge explosion. And lifted the whole side of the tank retriever up, and there was a big hole out the side of the dike. And he was a little shaken. Came out, pulled us up on the dike. He said, "You want to go back in front of me or behind me?" I said, "We're going to go out behind you." We got out on the main road, and we kind of gathered ourselves together. And one of the guys looked at me and he says, "Louis, you realize it's July 4th?
Sometimes they make the best shows. I apologize, guys. Like I said, I crammed a lot in there, and of course, I get naturally I'll have issues if I touch electronics. So I hope it was at least a little informative for you. But thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you very much, and don't leave before we get you one of our challenge coins. We got our Rotary challenge coin. So, want to thank our guests. Thank you. Good to see you, Stephanie. Thank you, Gavin, and the other folks from Yes. And Jason, thank you. Ash, thank you for coming today. It's nice to see you. And we have no meeting next week. It's our 5th Thursday. And then I'm going to be on vacation. I keep getting this question, what am I on vacation from? But the first meeting in August that Travis is going to be handling. So he'll be getting his breaking in up here pretty soon. But let's help stow chairs and tables and put away trash. And with that, it was kind of a wimpy